Life is perfect today. I wouldn't want to spend it any other way than like this. Life is perfect with you. Life is perfect today.
Hey guys, so this is the how to do full face foundation for beginners. If you want to see how I do my foundation with blemish cover-ups and that sort of thing, then just keep watching. So guys, first I'm just going to pin the hair back out of my face, make sure it's all around my ears and gone back before I prime. And to prime my skin, I've already moisturized. So to prime, I'm using the Revlon Photo Ready Perfecting Primer in number 001. I really love this. It doesn't have any SPF, which is great obviously for photos, hence the Photo Ready name. But it just makes the skin feel super smooth, and what better time to do this video than when I have lots of blemishes, because you can see how I conceal them. So this really does help smooth out the base of your skin if you do have any blemishes or even if you don't, and it just makes your makeup stick so much better to it, and it makes it last a whole lot longer. So just make sure you rub it all over your face, especially the T-zone, and if you want to use an eye primer, you can use that instead. So then I'm going to go ahead and conceal those blemishes that I have, and I am using a green toned concealer corrector, and this one is the Physicians Formula Concealer Twins one. Obviously this is the green part of it, and I don't recommend putting it directly onto your face like this with a sponge applicator, but it's my own, so. And then I'm going to take this e.l.f. corrective concealer palette, and I'm going to use the peachy yellow color to conceal the bluish discoloration underneath my eyes, or bags under my eyes, and also the veins on top of the lid. So I have really thin skin, most people do, but my veins especially show through a lot on the lid. So once I go ahead and apply that underneath the eye and in the inner corner of my eye, then I'm going to go ahead and apply it over the lid as well. Use really gentle patting, you know, and be really careful with that delicate skin there. And then the brush that I'm using is a Real Techniques synthetic brush. It's a pointed foundation brush, and this is really great for getting in those hard to reach spots and stuff like that. So just keep layering it until you feel like you have the coverage that you need. If you want to just use a yellow concealer on this part, you can as well. Then I'm going to go back in, and I'm using the green color from the e.l.f. palette just to put a little bit on my cheeks, because I did notice that my cheeks were a little rosy, and I just wanted to tone that redness down a little bit as well. So yeah, that's it for that. Now I'm going to use this base eyeshadow brush from Real Techniques, and I know it's not eyeshadow I'm doing here, but I just find it feathers out that corrective concealer much better than if I had used my fingers, and I just don't want to spread any more bacteria to my face from my hands, even though they're clean. But this gives a nice diffused color application. So it looks like I'm a little aggressive, but I'm just kind of pressing the product into my skin. I'm trying not to do circular motions or too much rubbing. I'm just like bouncing it and pushing it, like stippling it off of the blemishes on my face. And around my nose is where I get a lot of redness as well, so that's why I did around my nose, even though it's not technically blemishes or acne, but it is nice to conceal a little bit around the redness of my nose. And I'm just going to go ahead and pat the rest of it in, and any of the little spots I see, I'm just going to carry that green up and around. So when you're applying a foundation, if you're going to use a liquid foundation, you want to make sure that you make sure the product is, I guess, what am I trying to say? Mixed up well, that it's going to be consistent color when you actually apply it. Because sometimes makeup does settle after a while in the bottle. Whether you see it or not, it does tend to settle, and it may separate depending on the ingredients in it. So I am using the Revlon Color Stay Liquid Foundation, and this one's combination to oily skin in the color medium beige, number 240. And this one does not have SPF. Yes, it does. It has SPF of 6, which is very low. And then I'm applying my foundation with a stippling brush. It's a flat Kabuki F80 from Sigma. And this is such a high coverage foundation, and this brush really disperses the foundation really well. If you want a drugstore alternative, you can use like a Real Techniques buffing brush or something like that. It works really well as well. And I'm just stippling it on like you see and just pushing it into the skin, trying not to do too much rubbing or circular motions or anything until I get the product on. Once you get it on, if you want to buff it in on areas where you don't have that concealer underneath, you can do that. But I don't recommend buffing too much around where you already did the concealing, because then you're going to upset all the work that you just did, and trying to be, you know, specific with where you're applying it is just going to end up everywhere. So because it's green, it does stand out a little bit. You'll notice if you're doing this, you want to make sure you have really good coverage over the green as well, because you don't want to have like a Hulk face showing through. So yeah, I always just take a better look close up after I'm finished to make sure I got all those spots, especially around the crease of your nostrils or your nose. That's where I do notice sometimes you'll see a little bit of that green creeping through if you put some there. So just make sure you apply enough product and blend it well without over blending, because once you over blend and you over play with it, the foundation might actually move and start coming away from the product you already laid down. So just let it do its work, let the makeup get there, let it set, and let it do its thing. And it will conceal enough by the time you do all your makeup, you're not going to notice. So underneath the eyes, I'm going to use this MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in NC20. Pump is brutal to control how much you get out. It's like one huge pump or nothing at all. So I always try really hard to just get like half of a pump out, but it's so spring-loaded, it's really hard. Anyways, I'm just going to apply this with my fingertips, and I'm just going to dot a little bit on the inside and pull it to my outer eye, and then down into a V shape underneath my eye. Do the same on the other side. And then once I get the product on, I'll just wipe my hands off, and I'm going to blend this out. You could use a brush, but I really prefer to use this Quo Beauty Sponge dampened. And you wring it with water, and then you can pat it on so it gives like a dewy under the eye look. And I'm also bringing it up to my eyelids, and that's going to act as a primer or base for my eyeshadow once I do that as well. And this concealer is really great for the eyeshadow primer because it doesn't crease under your eyes or on your lids. So it's definitely a highly recommended concealer. Some drugstore alternatives would be the Glamouflage by Hard Candy, or there's a Physician Formulas Conceal RX one as well, which is nice for this. And once you have it all patted in and blended well, just have a close-up look again. Make sure you don't have any green or any lines that are standing out. You want to set it all with a setting powder or a pressed powder, and this is in the color Natural. It's a Rimmel Stay Matte pressed powder. And I'm just pressing and rolling lightly so it doesn't come out too cakey, and obviously tapping off the excess before you apply it helps a lot as well. And you can use any big powder brush for this as long as it's clean and doesn't have any colored product on it or anything. But the key is just to lightly press and roll your brush so that you're not disturbing your makeup again that you worked so hard to get on just right, especially around the blemishes. Just lightly apply a little bit of powder and press and roll. And once you do your neck and stuff to blend your neck makeup, it's fine. You don't have to worry about that stuff as much, but just be careful when you're setting your face makeup not to, you know, to disturb all of the work that you just did. So this is the before and the after. I'm sure you can see a difference. I know I can. Hopefully it helped.